Bill wanted to take a nice young lady out to ride in it who's very sensitive to the sun, and he said that she wouldn't be able to ride in it unless it had a top on it. Well, I got to looking. I found on Marketplace where I could get a lot of these bimini tops for 100, 150 bucks. Well, I actually found one from Vivor. This is the same people that made the steering unit for that boat. I think it was $112 for this one. It's the small one, the 3-bow, which it's only a 13-foot boat, so I didn't think I needed a big one. And $112 shipped. And I had some Amazon, and I had some points on my credit card already to pay for part of it. So I'm gonna put that on today, and it looks like it's a pretty easy setup. It's just basically the center screw, the placement of the center point is the most important. And I was hoping they would have on these instructions like a thing to tell you the distance between this point and that point, so that I could measure the boat and place it in such a way where I don't wind up with it hanging off. But it doesn't really have that, which is kind of a shame. But I suppose if I set it all up and set it down there, I can figure it out for myself. I got a box of hardware here. Let's see what's in that. Oh yeah, that looks good. I probably want to pre-drill these holes, but hopefully they sent me some screws that are actually good screws instead of the kind of stuff that you sometimes get when you order things from online. We'll see. So I guess the next thing to do is just figure out where I want to do this at. I might do it right back there where it's sitting. I was thinking that it may be cooler to be working out in the open air than it would in that garage. So let's just ride back there and consider it. Yeah, it's a pretty good place. No problem walking around the boat. About all I need is a drill and a screwdriver to put that together. So this actually might be better than trying to do it. We had a big wind. I pulled this tarp after I sold that four-wheeler and put it over that lawnmower, and a big wind blew it off the other night. But it might be easier just to do it right here than it would be to take it up to the garage. So let me go put together a couple of bows, and we'll start to look at it and see what we think. As far as exactly where to locate this top, but what I finally came down to is this. I want the back top, if it's all the way down, to be here in this area so that it's not blocking my stuff here, and I can reach over back in here and get two things. Now actually the way this top will sit is this will be up a little bit, so it should sit at an angle about like this, and this part here folds back over and it'll all sit actually up above this. But my best measurement, the best I could get, or the closest I could get, was right here. This point is 2.5 inches as best as I can decide from this point. So I measured this point to this point, I got 2.5 inches. I measured this point to this same point, I got 10.5 inches. I'm going to double check that to make sure. And I know I'm dyslexic and all that, but let's see, there's my, no, I take that back. I knew I'd do that. I do that sometimes. Closer to 9.5 than it is to 10.5. Sometimes I'll look at 10 and then look backwards instead of frontwards, and I'll get the wrong measurement. So I think that's 9.5. But I know from here to here, that's 2.5. And that's what I'm going by. So I've got a 1/8 inch drill bit right here, and these screws that came with it are small enough where if I drill a 1/8 hole, they should screw right down in there, and I've kind of tested them. So basically what I want to do is I want to drill a 1/8 hole, put that in it, but I also want to put some of that, I've got some really good epoxy in a tube that I used back there when I was putting that motor on, and I want that to be underneath this, so I'm gonna have to go find that. Okay, so one more thing I'll do just to make sure because it is possible to fold this top all the way down, is I'm going to flip this part back there. Okay, now you see where that falls. So that falls right in here. Like I was saying, if this top was down, I'd still be able to get to the battery, to the gas tank. I can reach over back in here and get to the drain plug or the sump pump or anything having to do with the motor. So this would be mostly out of the way if it was sitting like that. Okay? Okay. So I just discovered something very good about this top setup. This rail, this side of the boat is at an angle, so if water hits on it, it'll run out of the boat rather than in the boat. And I was thinking how I was going to put this on here where it would line up. Well, if you look at the bottom of that, it is, one side is higher than the other. So if I turn it the right way, it'll fit the angle of my boat, which is awesome. So I bought this from, I think that company's name is Vivor, the same company that made that. And I Googled, I was looking for a Boston Whaler top. Well, this is perfect for that. So what I'm going to do is drill, I've already started, I'm going to drill one hole, starting hole here. And I'm going to take one of these screws I'm just going to start it in that hole. I'm not going to put it all the way in yet. I'm just going to start it. This right here. Now I'm going to let that set. Move this back out of my way a little bit. I'm going to line this up with the side of the boat, and I don't want this to be, the way these are flared, I want this to be in the center of the hole. That hole there, I don't want it to be on one side or the other, because the way that's flared, when it tightened up, it would push it backwards and forwards. If I center this in that hole, and I center this with this side of the boat, and then I drill my next hole in the center of this hole, then when I put those two screws in, they should line up really well. Now what I'm going to do is, I've got some stuff that I showed you guys the other day. It's this 3M Marine Adhesive Sealant, Fast Curing 4200 FC. I use this on places on the boat for sealing and strength. I actually fixed a few cracked pieces of a boat with it. I'm going to make a hole in here for that to come out of, because what happens is this stuff will harden right in the end of the tube. A lot of times I'll grab something like this, screw it down in there and pull it out. That'll open that up. I could do it with this screwdriver, I could do it with this right here. I'm actually putting some of that on that screw. I'm going to put this through this hole without touching the sides. Put this right down in there. I'm going to start that one just a couple of turns. I'm going to do another one right next to it. Same way. Put a little bit of this stuff on the end of it. Put the cap back on this. less time that's exposed to the air, the less time it has to start to harden up. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Put that right down through the middle of that. I'm going to start tightening this up. Now I can drive that in with a screwdriver gun, but I don't want to. I don't want to force it. I want it to go in gently because I want this screw to cut threads down literally through the fiberglass without cracking it up. And if I did that really quick with a screwdriver gun, it might not end well. Now I can get a tool to make that a little easier. Take this ratchet. That's a 1/4 inch, and it fits this screw that fits in my drill gun. And I can take that instead of trying to turn it with just the twisting of my wrist. I can put it here. Put that in with that. Now I'm not going to twist that down real hard. Same reasons I was talking about before. I don't want to crack up the fiberglass. And I can see where a little bit of that white sealant squeezed out right underneath that to help attach this to that. The other thing that sealant stuff will do is it'll glue those screws in there. Now I'm going to walk around the other side and do the other side the same way. I've already got my marks done over there. What I might do with this one, instead of putting it in and taking it out, is I may just go ahead and put the white sealant right on the screw, screwing it in and not taking it out, drilling the second one, putting it right in the same way. I'm just going to loosen up the cap here. Do the same thing I did. I'm going to stick this in there, get some of that stuff on it. Yeah. Make sure I have this thing facing the right direction. Get that right down through there without touching it as much as I can. Put that right there. And then drill this one. Do the same thing. Now I'm going to walk in and let this sit before I do anything else. I'm going to wind up putting another one back there, but I want this one to be good and hard. Not that I think it's going to go anywhere, but I'd rather be patient and give it time. Walk away, come back to it later. When I get ready, I'll put the top on here and I'll stand the top up, and I'll position the back one, and then I'll do the back one back there. Thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you next time.